1,432 days since Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss, on the Fort Bliss footprint, and we still don't have his remains. How can that be? I mean, what's going on over there at Old Ironside, right? What's going on Fort Bliss? Can they not secure their base? Can they not? I mean, do they not have cameras? Do they not have enough funding in the military? I think they do have funding, and it's just evidence of one part of what Richard was reporting, and I think it was theft, absolutely the theft of the American people by taking what we wanted to provide for our military, for our national defense. And of course, we know that he was reporting assaults on children. We know that. We know that it has to do with child pornography. We know that. We know from reports that they were airdropping these very vile and vulgar criminal videos, pornography, just airdropping them into the barracks and other areas. We know that through the testimony of many people that we talked to while we were there. And after that, and now, even 4 years later, we have just huge strides forward because of the forensics that is coming in, that, I have to be careful what I say. The evidence that we have received, it's, so I think because, it's kind of like learning foreign languages. When you learn one foreign language, it's difficult. But once you have two languages, then the third one gets easier. When you have three languages, and the fourth one gets even easier and easier and easier. And what I'm saying is, from the beginning, it was difficult to learn how to be an investigator, to know who is up to no good, what to look for, what their strategies are, what the harassing was about, what the mass gaslighting was about, all of the criminal impostor impersonating sites. What was that about? And then, once you understand what is going on, and you can start complaining, you can start officially knowing what is going on, how to complain, right? How to complain, to whom to complain. And then you start gathering a lot of emails. You understand the system. You understand who's in leadership, who to go to, who has authority. Because I want to tell you right now, we have breaking news. We have breaking news. We spent yesterday absolutely complaining about the criminal activity, this Mickey Mouse group that is a breakaway rogue group from the original response team, emergency response team in our son's case. And they are a breakaway rogue group. They are still, harassing, threatening, interfering in every kind of way. Why are they doing that when they're, in another state? So that legally it creates a lot of problems for them. Even though they're in uniform, even though they still have their Old Ironside patches on, so that means they're under Major General Eisenhower, right? But they're in California. Um, and they are, of course, Nick is a site administrator. And today, even the original response team in Richard's unit showed up. And, so we're getting a lot of forensics information. We're getting a lot of addresses, shared addresses. We're getting, the vehicles. All this information is coming in. The clubs that they are part of, that, because what this shows is a cover up of what happened to Richard, of the crime that happened to Richard, the capital murder case of Richard. That's what this shows. And so if they're covering it up, if they are interfering in it, because, a normal original response team would be, have you found out? Oh my goodness, you found out that he was killed. Do you know who did it? No, they are over there with our prime suspect, right? And they're interfering, and they are trying to create a false narrative. They're not wanting the truth. They're trying to sabotage. They're trying to stop the truth from coming out. And so it really proves that there is inside. This was an inside job, and that this is a cover-up. And here they are, still 4 years later, even, you think they would have a busy life or something. And what are they afraid of? What do they not want to be exposed? And so that has driven an investigation into that, because why would anyone harass, threaten, absolutely in uniform, participate, engage in criminal activity, absolutely criminal activity, to stop finding out who murdered a fellow soldier? Right? So this is really important, a very important development in this, and a lot is being exposed because of this. And you would think 4 years later, oh my gosh, how long can this go on? But no, this is just getting started. This is just getting started, because the investigation, we provided the evidence to the U.S. government. It took us longer than what the CID would have if they would have done their job, right? But investigating, putting it all together, organizing, making sure, validating, making sure, putting it on paper, submitting it, putting it on graphs. We have it on graphs and charts and this and that, to make sure that everything is as well as we can be presented. And the evidence was overwhelming that Richard absolutely is murdered, has been murdered. And that's why they had no choice but to declare him deceased. And that's why we can say we provided that evidence. Why? Right? We know what evidence we gave. The piles of evidence that we gave. And we were right all along. That's what our message to everybody, and why do we say that? Because they were smearing Richard, and we're like, something is so stinky right? Meaning he was murdered. And there were leaks even um, before the official whistleblower confirmed that there was leaks, and that those leaking and tampering were Leilani Hart and Tavita Newsett, Fort Bliss CID agent, right? So, of course, this is really breaking news now that we put in the complaints and we received very swiftly. So quick. I mean, we were like shocked because, for so long, we've been, there's been a runaround, right? We've been made to wait and a run around, but now, because they have this overwhelming file from us, our file, right? From us, that is dependable, that is credible, right? When we have the leadership at the national level of the CID saying their file, the CID file on Richard, has been tampered with, is not credible, right? It does not have integrity. What we gave them has integrity, is credible, and we know what we gave them. And so with that declaration of death, we earned, I don't know if you can say earned, but maybe we did. We earned respect. They looked at everything we had. They were being told at the national level and through the criminal community, the law enforcement community, a narrative that didn't make sense. And we presented a file, a dependable, credible file that put everything together that made sense. And so that's why we received the declaration of death. And that's why now we put in a complaint and boom, quick response, swift response, because this Mickey Mouse crew that was, and I have to stress this because this is so important for everyone to understand. These public affair group and the group that has been harassing us, them together, okay? Because these are the original emergency response team in Richard's case, and even unit member came over, even unit members. And of course, they are covering up, defending our prime suspect, Dallas Hart. And, so that really tells you something. And this response that we got today, absolutely, everyone should understand this, means that they are not operating, even though the site administrator is in uniform. He is not doing this with the approval of the authority. So this is criminal. And he might have some people, in there that is giving him assistance, but it is not with the approval of the authority, because this is what happened today, this quick response this swift response. So I think that is really important for everyone. It really was a change in pace, and because there's been a change, a huge shift in this whole case. And it came from many years of hard work putting together the evidence, submitting the evidence, and respectful evidence, corroborated evidence. They had no choice but to acknowledge what the evidence proves, and that is that Richard is murdered. Now, are they still being a little careful there? They're protecting their brand. This is all, it's political, and they're protecting their brand. That's very clear. And so we have work to do. It's just getting started and we had a big discussion about this today. We want the law to be followed. We want for our authorities to do their duty, what the law requires. And, you can, and I can come on here and say, I want accountability, I want accountability. And people might not understand what we mean. And they might construe it to mean some kind of retribution or something like that. But I want to make it very clear what we want. We want the law to be followed. And right now, sexually abusing children is illegal. Child pornography is illegal. Impersonating our family and interfering in a capital murder case, trying to thwart the response team now, is a crime. And, trying to mass gaslight is a crime. And posting Richard's face, superimposing it on a recently executed inmate, Texas, death row inmate, is a crime. It's a threat. And murdering Richard is a crime. And the law requires that gets identified, documented, and prosecuted and punished. These crimes are crimes because they violate our law. And that law requires that it be identified, documented, prosecuted, and punished. Why? For the safety of our communities, for the safety of our military, for the safety of those that serve, that volunteer to serve in our military, for our national defense. being a rogue breakaway group trying to create chaos through interference and harassment and threatening and mass gaslighting and controlling narratives. That doesn't help the community. That doesn't help. I mean, he's in uniform being a site administrator and defending what we have corroborating evidence that there's child porn, that there's a 7-year-old of a military soldier that was sexually assaulted in Leilani Hart's master bedroom by multiple members of her family, that they're in possession of child pornography, which is child torture, and where there's a long family history of incest and child abuse, and they're buying weapons illegally and threatening to kill. We've got that corroborated. Multiple pieces of evidence, notarized evidence, FBI accepted evidence, communications corroborating it. And you have someone defending that? That's not respecting our law. You can't have someone in uniform that is supposed to defend our law, defend the law of the land, defend our Constitution from enemies, foreign and domestic, working against it. That's a hypocrite. What else would you call that? A treason? Would you call it betrayal? We want to identify the murderer. We want that to be documented. And we want the law to be carried out in the prosecution of it and the punishment of it. That's why we have laws. And the last time I looked, murder was illegal, was a violation of our law. And obstruction of justice is a violation of our law. And we, the forensics that are coming through, we have information of Richard's identity being used after he was murdered. So someone was, posing as him. But that was not Richard. That was someone that was stealing his identity. And that's all coming out because of all the evidence that we've gathered. I've been saying for a long time that we have proof that Richard's identity had been stolen. So now the forensics is coming together for that. And, you would think that the original response team would want to move this forward in the carrying out of what the law requires, so that we are an orderly society. Because, this assault on order is what has hurt our families and our communities. to be rogue, to be a breakaway, is just chaos. And that's why we get all the criminal activity. So this, yeah, it's I have some notes that I need to look at to make sure that I've covered all the grounds. Oh yeah, and I wanted to say, when else have you seen this kind of response? This illegal response, this harassing response, the threatening response, from a PR perspective, from a PAO. Look at this. This is the same old Ironside PAO. This is the original response team for Richard. And where else did you see this? This kind of response? Well, let me give you the answer. It was the Walmart mass shooting. The response to the Walmart mass shooting. And you see it very clearly if you watched the before and after video one day apart. August 3rd, 2019, August 4th, 2019, of Glendon Oakley Jr. Very clear there. One day he is, proud that he's a trained soldier, that he could help with the response, and he was pretty humble doing it because he was like, I wish I could have saved more kids. I just did a little bit, and I saw these M4s. I saw these mall cops, people dressed in black. Because then we have corroborating witness saying there were people dressed in all black with these rifles, right, shooting them. And she saw the bullets coming out of them. And so you have Glendon Oakley Jr. identifying the weapon because he's a trained soldier. And he, he was happy. He was happy because his response was helpful. And he wanted to help even more by telling Wolf Blitzer of CNN what he saw, how he helped, what he could do to get to the truth. The very next day, he's like an apologizing, crying mess. Why? Because he was being attacked by the original response team, public affairs. I shouldn't say this public affairs group. I don't know if they're the ones that were involved in the Walmart mass shooting, but I know this, that it was the online, the keyboard rogue group, breakaway group from the American legal, I don't want to say, how do I say this? Whoever bullied him had bad intentions, and he was clearly bullied. And what he was afraid of was the bullies and the reports, not those that not traumatized by what happened the day before. That's not what he was crying about. He was crying because he was being bullied right away. He was being called a liar, and he was being smeared. And he was like, the focus is not on me. The focus should be on the victims, right? That's who the focus should be on. And he goes, they're all focusing on me. And so if you haven't had the chance to, and that was a great point that he made, because the focus should have been on the victims, not on a whistleblower, not on a witness, an eyewitness account in the mall when they were saying it all happened at Walmart. Why was he the focus when he was at the mall? And they say nothing happened at the mall. And here they say they have Patrick Crucius and it all happened at Walmart. Then why are they focused on bullying Glennon Oakley Jr.? The only other time this absurdity and this constant attack from a rogue group is with our case. Our case, I'm sure it's happened before too, but our case and the Walmart case, wow, they're connected. Absolutely. And it really declares an inside job and a cover-up. Inside job and a cover-up. There is no doubt in our minds that this is inside job and a cover-up, because the evidence is overwhelming. Why is the CID national level leader saying that the CID case file for Richard is botched, is tampered with? And that when we presented all of what we had, boom, the decision was a declaration of death. That tells you that CID file is truly tampered with and botched. That means that the CID there at Fort Bliss, this corroborates that Tavita Nusa was giving unauthorized access to Leilani Hart to tamper with the very file that the CID leadership at a national level said was tampered with. Confirmed that it was tampered with. And now, when we put in a criminal complaint, we get swift response, because they know that we double check, we triple check. We're telling the truth. We're not a Mickey Mouse group. We are looking to follow the law so that the community can be protected, so that we can get these murderers. Who's trying to get the murderers of the Walmart case? I'm of the belief that they're intertwined with our case. But, you know, that's from evidence. That's from suspicion. That's from the people trying to cover up both of these. Why are they this, and why is Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia? Why is Danae Katzen? Why is, it's the same people. Why is Amber Chase so concerned? If she, let me tell you, she's very, very concerned about Richard. I'm very concerned. Why? Is it because she wants the law to be followed, or because there's a cover up going? It's underway, and she has something to cover up. Richard was a whistleblower for child sex abuse and trafficking. It's really, that makes you like, wow. Okay, so let's answer. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. I need to answer these. Danielle, thank you so much for prayers. The stars in their course fought against Sisera. Absolutely. There is no statute of limitations in murder. That's right. And Texas has the death penalty. And we're fully aware of that. And, you know, I'm a Ron Paul supporter. We're a Ron Paul supporter. Ron Paul doesn't believe in the death penalty. But let me tell you, Texas does. Texas has the death penalty. And I have to say, you know, that's one point I didn't agree with him on. I understood his stance, but I didn't agree with it because, you know, I have my reasons. But we have absolutely been warning everybody. And we've been absolutely, while this is going on, saying, look, if you know about the cars, if you know about Anthony, if you know about Fort Bliss, if you know about Mortuary Affairs, if you know about Bliss Avenue, if you know about Dreams Cabaret, if you know about these things that surround, and there's more, there's a lot more, the murder of Richard, if you know who was dwelling with each other, if you know these things that absolutely are part of Richard's case, or even if you have like a little doubt, you need to come forward. It's just like what we did yesterday. If we did not put this criminal complaint in that we had to do as soon as we learned that, because the thing with Nick is he, he's pretty clever. He led us to believe that he was no longer in the military. But as soon as we confirmed that he was still in the military, we had to put in a criminal complaint because he's been acting criminally while in uniform under Old Ironside, which is Fort Bliss. So we had to, you cannot delay in letting the leadership know that they have a breakaway rogue soldier on their hands that is using his uniform to pose that he has some kind of authority backing him up to do what he's doing, and to do it under the Mickey Mouse ears, while defending a case that has to do with child sexual abuse and child sex trafficking, and he's at Disney? This is putting children at risk. So we had to stop everything and make sure that the authorities knew. We're not like Leilani and delay, which is a crime when you delay the reporting of a serious child sexual assault. So, and you have William Molinar facing his trial coming up for continuous. He's accused of continuous sexual assault of a child under 14. And they're trying to make him out to be a hero because he has a long criminal history, and I'm not, they're going to have to decide. And, I don't have so much confidence on how that's all going to play out because guess who his judge is? His judge is Sam Medrano. Look how he has totally, Sam Medrano, the judge, has totally botched the whole Patrick Crusius Walmart mass shooting case. He's been a terrible leader on that. He's not followed the law. And so, yeah, we have the law. And the law is a gift. It is such a gift. And we have this group of people that don't even like the Ten Commandments. They don't like law. They don't want to be identified as a criminal because they're criminals and prosecuted and then have to pay a penalty. And in Texas, for murder, it's the death penalty. So, yeah, people are sick and tired of the crime because the law of the land is not being followed. And so all we want is that the law that is required to be followed be followed. Was Richard reporting the individual that has court in August regarding sexual assault? Was Richard reporting her boyfriend, Amber, that worked? I don't think they're boyfriend and girlfriend. No. He is the father of one of her children, but I don't, yeah, no. I talked to him. I talked to William Molinar. He didn't have nice words. Okay? He didn't have nice words. So, I don't know why, whatever. There's just a lot going on there. Yeah, so I don't think they're a couple. Amber worked for the Army Mortuary Affairs, stating that she would F the life out of Richard. The soul out of Richard, yeah. She thinks about taking life out of someone through sexually assaulting. Yeah, and that is saying rape, right? Isn't that saying, I'm going to rape him? And then she doubled down on it? Because I don't think yeah. Yeah. It's pretty vile and vulgar and criminal. And she doubled down on it. So, and she works for the El Paso Independent School District, y'all. Yeah. And she posted publicly about very personal, similar subjects in her life. Publicly. And just not because of fear of her, but out of respect for another. Yeah. It's so sad. Richard Halliday's murder was pure evil. These individuals that did this do deserve the death penalty. I believe so too. It needs to be on the table because it was so violent. It was so violent before and after. And not only that, they weaponized our institution to do it. they weaponized our institution. They weaponized our institution to retaliate against him continuously and severely, and they weaponized the institution to murder him, and they weaponized the institution to cover it up. Absolutely. And the law requires that the death penalty be on the table for that one. Absolutely. The law requires it, not me, the law. And that's because the majority of the people that live in this country do not want that kind of behavior, that kind of criminal activity to be able to multiply, to be able to survive and continue and grow. That's why we have the law, and that's why we have the death penalty for that. To snuff it out. Those that weaponized our institution using taxpayer funds to hurt Richard, to bully him, to silence him, to murder him, to dismember him, to hide him, to cover up, to harass the family, to threaten the family. Not only when I say family, I'm talking about all those that want justice for Richard, all those that want the right thing in this case. Because there's a lot of witnesses, a lot of friends, a lot of family members that were bullied and harassed, and absolutely they wanted to silence and control the narrative to cover this up. And for Nick to be in the military and be public affairs and use his taxpayer-funded training to be a site administrator, to impersonate, to do harm, is absolutely criminal. Criminal. Yes. And to encourage, he is encouraging Bob Moore and other people to take criminal actions. So he's encouraging more crime. So, and to cover up or to stop the identifying of, Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. This is an obstruction. Dallas Hart was even more. And they have it on record. And it's not good. It's not good. So they knew, the Army knew about they knew about this evidence. They knew about this evidence against Dallas Hart. They knew it. And they failed to do the right thing. They failed to follow the law. And they weaponized Fort Bliss and our institution there to go after innocent people obeying the law. This isn't Nick's first time trying to collude and obstruct justice in Richard Halliday's case. No. No. He is a breakaway, rogue criminal, a breakaway first responder in this case. He's one of the original in this case. And I think that, and yes, and those Disney photos, they make him look so good, right? Have all the presumption of goodness, of happiness, but none of it. He's totally the opposite. And I think it's a good lesson. You can't judge a book by the cover. You can't, no. And the evidence proves that he's up to no good. So, and the forensics is coming back. And of course, we had the very swift, that's breaking news, y'all. Breaking news. We received a very swift response. Very swift. That means they're watching this. That means that we have credibility. That means that there's ongoing state and federal investigations going on. So they're on it. They already have teams on this. And we have confirmation of that going on. And for any group to be encouraging criminal behavior is, yeah, it's so bad. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming and watching. And we just make sure I have all my news. I wanted to touch on the Walmart. Yes. Yep. These are, I wanted to touch on some UCMJ, but I kind of did that. We just want the regulations followed, this whole thing with the barracks, and I really going to touch before I leave on the barracks. Richard in his paperwork had all the rules for the barracks, and they're not being followed. And my dad, before he passed away, says he holds the NCOs accountable for what happened to Richard. Because, and I don't understand totally, because I've never been an NCO. But the barracks is not being run the way the regulations require them to be ran. And Fort Bliss is not being ran the way the regulations require it to be ran. JAG is not being ran the way the law requires it to be ran. The laws and the requirements, the regulations, there is a security issue because the laws and the regulations are not being followed. With leaders like this, who needs enemies? They're up to no good. And it was weaponized. And then you have Glennon Oakley Jr. found dead. He's too young. Found dead in his barracks room in April of 2020. And Richard in July of 2020. And more. You can just add more and more. So that's the point that I really want to make. And I thank you so much for sharing this. If you want to know what you can do, you need to share this information. You need to like. You need to comment. But please share and get this information out, because we have a breakaway rogue first responder team in Richard's case, proving that this was an inside job and a cover-up. That's what they're doing. So thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.